Good morning, everyone. It's good to be here with you. So when you think about enhancing the customer experience through data and analytics, you probably think about using artificial intelligence and advanced data mining capabilities to provide your customers with a sophisticated and tailored experience. However, our journey at Essendant has taught us that unless you can really meet some of the basic needs of your customers, they're really not that interested in all the other advanced capabilities that you can offer them. So this is kind of a situation that we found ourselves in a year ago with our Jansan distributors. So let me give you a little bit of context on Essendant as background on our journey. So as some of you may know, Essendant is about a $5 billion national distributor, wholesaler, and we connect hundreds of manufacturers with millions of customers every day. And we do that through a variety of customer channels. Our largest and most prominent customer segment is our independent resellers. But we also go to market through national accounts such as Staples and Office Depot and a variety of e-tailers, many of which you would recognize from your own personal shopping. And historically, Essendant has been in the office products business. In fact, our name used to be United Stationers. But over the last decade or so, we expanded into janitorial supplies, food service, industrial, and automotive supplies. However, as we did that, those businesses came to us and we operated them on largely independent platforms. So in 2016, we embarked on a journey to consolidate our two largest platforms, our office products platform and our Jansan platform. And at the time, our office products platform was considerably more sophisticated. And so we built on top of that platform to service this population of independent resellers. And as we thought about that, what we recognized was that our office products dealers were very sophisticated. And they were probably 10 or 15 years ahead of where our Jansan distributors were in terms of using technology in a sophisticated way and integrating their business models with the capabilities that Essendant could provide them. And we had some very advanced capabilities that we were very excited to offer to our Jansan distributors that our OP dealers had leveraged for years. So things like wrap and label service, where we can take one large order that consists of many sub-orders and package them up and label them for our customers to deliver to their end consumers. With things like route sortation, where we could organize product on pallets so they could easily be cross-docked to our customers right to their trucks fit for the routes that those trucks were going to be delivering to their end customers. We could do spray-on logos to put our customer's logo on the boxes, and we could drop ship to over 90% of the country next day. And so these are things that we were very excited to deliver to our Jansan customers. But in reality, at the same time, we also started changing our stocking strategy. And we stocked less items than we historically had after we put our platforms together. And the reality was we weren't meeting our customers' needs. They had a hard time finding what items they wanted to purchase, and when they couldn't find an item, we weren't giving them much information about other items that they could purchase instead. And unfortunately, we hadn't really listened to our customers. We had assumed that they would love the capabilities of our platform, but we really weren't listening very well to what their needs were. And as you can imagine, our sales began to decline. There's lots of other wholesalers that we were competing against, and it was easy for our customers to move that business to other wholesalers. So at the time, we decided to implement the Net Promoter Score, which many of you are probably familiar with, but it's a pretty straightforward measure that takes the positive customer responses that you get, either a 9 or a 10 on a 1 to 10 scale, and subtract from that the negative scores that you get from a 1 to a 6. And as we initiated that survey, we had a very negative score. But it was a very eye-opening process for us, and we learned a lot from our customers. One of the biggest challenges our customers experienced was not being able to find items they needed. So this is a screenshot of our customer portal, and this is typical of what many of our Jansan distributor customers would see when they looked for an item at their home facility, and their home facility amongst 60 or so distribution centers that we have around the country. And the item wasn't there, but we didn't really tell them where they could find it, whether it was going to be stocked again or not, and what other item we might have in stock that they could buy to service their customers' needs. So this wasn't a very satisfactory experience. So we needed to do a few things. We needed to communicate our stocking strategy much more effectively. The fact was, we had reduced our number of SKUs that we were carrying in stock, but we had broadened our category exposure, and we hadn't gotten out of any categories. We were just focusing our inventory in a more effective way. In fact, prior to the platform consolidation, we actually served as a bit of a sourcing company for our customers. That means that when they wanted a product, regardless of whether we stocked it or not, we would go out and secure that product and make it available for them in their home facility. We did that throughout the country. And as you can imagine, customers' needs change over time. We got to a point where 65% of the items we stocked were generating less than 5% of our sales. So that was clearly a strategy that had to change. But we needed to do a better job of communicating that to our customers. So we also needed to manage our item information better. So we had operational content that we managed in our merchandising organization. We had rich content that we managed in our marketing organization. And that data never really came together that effectively. We also needed to be able to refresh it and leverage it more effectively. And we needed to enhance our customer portal to be able to provide that information to our customers in a way that was friendly and easy and made Essendant much more easy to do business with. So now let me turn it over to Mihir to share with you how Ugam helped us a bit on this journey.
Thanks, Ken. And good morning, everyone. So Ken has walked us through the why and the what about this problem, and I'm going to spend time talking about the how. So how did we go from this situation on the left-hand side, where, as Ken mentioned, when a customer searched for an item and if it was not stocked, all you would see is an item not available message and no suggested alternates being provided, to a situation on the right-hand side when a customer searches for an item today, always gets what you see as view suggested replacement, which is a set of similar items for consideration with various degrees of similarity being represented by those Harvey balls, along with stocking information, unit of measure and price, and thereby taking out a lot of friction in the purchase process. Now, it's important to remember that when we started this, close to 80% of the products did not have alternates, which means in many instances when a consumer was looking for a product and it was not stocked, it was hitting a dead end, or in other instances when there was a stock, there were no replacement or alternates being suggested, which impedes customer experience on the very basics and obviously impacts the business in terms of loss of sales. So how did we go about from then to now? So we took a 5-step approach. I'm going to walk you through this in detail, but just if I mention them quickly, the first is about defining the data dictionaries. The second is making sure you get all the pieces of data together. Develop algorithms so that this can be deployed at scale. Refine and iterate the results, and finally provision them on the portal or any other channel that we may want to. So the first and the most important step is to define these data dictionaries, and this was done in consultation with the category or merchant leaders to truly understand what is this category about, because these dictionaries are very unique to categories. So if you take this, I just went to the men's room, so if you look at this one here, which is, I'm now looking at hand towels in a new light. So this is a multi-fold towel, so it has got multiple folds. So this is an important attribute, and we classify that into a describing attribute or a defining attribute giving it specific weights. And these weights are arrived at in consultation with the merchant team, which in some sense we are converting some of their tacit knowledge and trying to codify that so that you can use this in algorithms at scale, right? Then comes the next step, is a very important step. It's like adding fuel to your car, otherwise your car won't move, which is about obtaining, reviewing, cleaning, blending the data that is required. As Ken mentioned, many organizations, and in fact, all the cases we worked in, no organization seems to ever have their data which is clean, easily accessible, available, and complete. So there's a lot of important work to be done in terms of getting the attribute information, descriptions, the rich product content data together. And then the very important step of developing some of these algorithms so that we can arrive at these item matches at scale. Now, when it comes to developing these algorithms, we took various approaches. Some of them are shown here. And finally, we settled down on a machine learning augmented with human expert validation method. Now, there is a lot of buzz around artificial intelligence and machine learning. I must say, though, in some cases, artificial intelligence is more artificial than intelligent today, right? So it's important for us to then, at least to get the results or the accuracy that we are looking for, we had to complement the machine learning algorithm with human expert validation, be it our side or on Ken's team. And that said, it doesn't stop. It's not so easy because the first pass that comes out from some of these methods or algorithms is not necessarily the best result. For example, when you look at the first row, it's saying that the product ending 219 is an alternate for product ending 427 with a confidence score of 0.85 on 1. But if you dig deeper, you'll see that the type is not the same. One is a single fold, whereas one is a multifold. So when you then tweak and go through several iterations, we then have algorithms that improve. And in the table below on third pass, you see that there is a match of a skew 918 with 427 with higher confidence and the same type or describing attribute or defining attribute in this case. So now we have a scalable method where for products or items we are able to have these exact and equivalent and alternate and substitute, which you saw rendered in the form of those Harvey balls on the suggested replacement page. It's very vital to have these alternates and these matches as a truth table within your organizations, because not only can it help customer experience, it can help from a procurement standpoint, from a pricing standpoint, from a range review or a rationalization standpoint. So having this piece of information is very useful. And finally, all items require alternates, but not all items are good alternates. So how do you make them a good alternate? Is you put in some filters. No point showing a product that's out of stock. No point showing a product that's no more active. So put in those filters and then make sure that once these products show up, they're very relevant to the customer and improve their experience. So with that, I'll kind of hand this back to Ken, who will talk us about what was the impact and what are some learnings from this exercise. Back to you, Ken.
Thank you. All right, so the Net Promoter Score survey allowed us to learn a lot about our customers and learn a lot about what our platform wasn't providing for our customers. So there were quite a number of things that we had to modify to be an effective supplier for our Jansan distributor customers. But the feedback that we got from our work on alternates was really positive. And in fact, that was the most positive feedback that we'd gotten on almost all of the network changes that we had made. And fortunately, as a result, our sales started to turn around. We started growing year over year again, and our customers were very pleased. Our Net Promoter Score improved dramatically. So we had gone from scores in the negative 20s a year ago to consistently getting scores of positive 30 at present. And so our customers were really pleased with the changes that we made. But not only that, the changes that we made allowed our customers to be satisfied with our service, but it also allowed them to open their eyes and be open to entertaining some of our broader service offerings. Some of those things that our office products dealers had utilized for years and years to expand and grow their business. And what this meant was that we were developing deeper relationships with our Jansan distributors, and they were integrating their businesses more fully with the Essendant platform. So a couple of key learnings for us that we got over the last year or so. Data quality matters a lot. So what we realized was that our operational data probably wasn't up to snuff. We kind of viewed that to some extent as a necessary evil and relied on our suppliers to make sure that they updated that information for us. So now we're taking a much more proactive approach at managing that data. And we're bringing together the operational data and the rich content data in a way that's much more effective for both our business and for our customers. And lastly, we recognize that cross-reference information is critical. Essendant had always managed cross-reference information from cross-referencing our competitor items to Essendant so that we could service customers who were buying product elsewhere and convert business over to Essendant. But we hadn't spent the time to do the same process for our internal assortment. And that was a key learning for us. The other thing we learned was that we needed to get some wins on the board. So we had really frustrated this set of customers, and we needed to turn that around quickly. And we had committed as a leadership team that we would fix the situation. But that was a lot of work. The process that we explained, that Mihir explained to you, has been going on for almost a year. We service about 400 different subcategories of products for our customers. And what we decided was that we were going to focus on 31 of those 400 categories and really get it right. And those 31 categories were the ones that we thought really mattered to that customer set. So we finished that 31 and then started another 40. And in fact, we're still only halfway through that process of identifying a variety of good alternate items within our own Essendant assortment. And then thirdly, finding the right partners. So I think one of the things we recognized was that we needed to accelerate this process and do it in a way that we hadn't been able to do before on our own. So as I said, we'd managed cross-reference data for years, but we'd not been able to use the advanced techniques, the data mining, the algorithms to do so in an efficient and a sustainable way. And so it was important for us to find a partner that could assist us in that process and help us accelerate the impact to our customers. So where are we now and where are we going? So as you would expect, having that type of information available on our customer portal also allows us to get some good customer feedback. So we're getting feedback now on how many times customers select that suggested alternates button, so that hyperlink, to see different alternates. So we know how frequently they're doing that. We also know how frequently they're adding one of those alternate items to their cart for an ultimate purchase. So that's good information for us. We're also enhancing our system to allow them to grade the alternates that we're presenting to them. So does this alternate item meet the needs of you and your customer? And it's kind of a thumbs up or a thumbs down feedback for the alternates themselves so that we can continuously learn and improve the process that we have. So Mihir talked about how we went from our broad assortment of items to what items are good alternates. Now we're taking that to the next level and identifying what we refer to as preferred alternates. So within Essendant, we have preferred vendors, so lines that we would prefer selling over other vendors. We also have a broad assortment of Essendant brands. So now what we're going to start doing is prioritizing those alternates to present to our customers those items that we would prefer to sell to them over other potential alternates. So kind of in summary, I'd say that we use some pretty sophisticated data mining and new data science techniques to really provide some basic capability that we needed to our customer to improve the customer experience, which has really allowed us to deepen our relationship with those customers and get our business back on track. So, thank you.
We can take a quick question from the audience. If you can, please raise your hands. We'll come by with a microphone. Okay. Coming towards the front, we have one right here. Lori, we'll come.
If you can say your name and company. My name is Mo, and I'm from a company called Grimco in St. Louis. I had a quick question about when doing data-driven alternates and building that functionality, how do you guys as an organization avoid angering your vendors because you're cross-marketing different brands and the fear of converting existing customers to other brands? That's a big fear on our own.
Yeah, great question. So I think I mentioned our preferred supplier program, and one of the commitments that we make to our preferred suppliers is that we will try to differentiate our offers to represent their brands over other brands. And so it certainly doesn't mean that we don't want to sell anything that we carry to our customers, but the commitment we've made to certain suppliers that are very wholesale friendly and have partnered deeply with Essendant is that we would try to promote their items above some of the other vendors. And it's important to know that as we go through that process, we try to only identify one preferred vendor per item category. So we don't set up different suppliers to compete with one another from a preferred status.
Thank you so much. And any other questions? I'm sure you can see them in Ugam's booth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.